Hello all, I am Sean Prater. This is Lab 4, your second hack, part 1. Alrighty, here we utilize Nikto um, and was able to effectively locate vulnerabilities to research. And here, one of those vulnerabilities were uh, anti-click jacking, X-frame options header. It was not present. And it is an actual vulnerability. Clickjacking is an interface-based attack in which a user is tricked into clicking on a actionable content on a hidden or a decoy website. So this was something to look out for. Uh, and also, this attack will cause a user to download malware unknowingly. And another identified vulnerability is the X content type options header. Uh, it declares the type of content that is carried by the HTTP response. The declaration allows the browser to process the content correctly. But if the content is missing, browsers will execute all content inside the document mistakenly. And that is a feature known as content sniffing. This may leave your browser vulnerable to attacks such as cross-site scripting and path relative style sheet injection. And here is a snippet of the critical alerts of my identified target and some things to take into consideration. Now, utilizing Nessus to scan the target IP address 192.168.25 or 2158. It was a rather quick scan due to a limited number of machines that I have on that IP address. It was able to identify a few critical vulnerabilities, and that's something else to keep a very close eye on. Nikto is a vulnerability scanner used to scan websites, web servers, and virtual hosts. Nikto is exceptionally good at detecting website misconfigurations as well as uh, other vulnerabilities. While looking at the Nikto scan attached from the previous slide, we can see that it gives us information about the server, which it is currently Apache 2.0.52, and that is retrieved as an XPower header version name, which is currently PHP 4.3.9. Another tool that we use is OWASP Zap. Zap is a tool to find vulnerabilities in web applications. It is a open source and free, and primarily provides a great feature of intercepting proxy. As indicated in the screenshots earlier and further to see, another great feature is the spider. The spider can be used to crawl the application, automatically detect all the links and pages, and then use those links on those pages to discover more pages. And then we have CSRF, cross-site request forgery. This is utilized by hackers to craft their forms, after which they will send them over to an authenticated user who is trying to go into a site, hence the name one-click attack or session writing. This attack is a malicious website exploit where attackers use unauthorized commands to exploit users when they gain access to trusted websites. And then we have this one blocked out. I apologize for that. It's XSS, cross-site scripting. This is an injection attack where malicious scripts are injected into trusted websites and executed by the visitor's browser. Essentially, a trusted website with abiding users is attacked by an attacker who finds ways to exploit that website by sending malicious codes to various users, hopefully getting someone to click on it. And additional vulnerabilities here identified from using Nessus, two critical vulnerabilities that attackers can exploit and conduct man-in-the-middle attacks or decrypt communications between an affected service or client. Here's a list, detailed list and a category of the risk factors involved, the type of vulnerability, and the details that go along with that vulnerability. Very interesting information that was gathered. Now, the hypotheses methodology based on the findings of those tools, utilizing the alternative tools, I could effectively identify and summarize the vulnerabilities found and conduct my research to determine the critical levels of each vulnerability located on the target system. These helpful tools provide the user with efficient mitigation strategies and solutions to remove vulnerabilities from a targeted environment. An important point to remember is that vulnerability management is a very time-consuming and continuous process that only works when the user can track vulnerabilities that exist within a network. And these tools are very great for helping a user identify what vulnerabilities are located on the IP address. And here is a vulnerability analysis mapping. It attaches a wide variety of scans, mapping the vulnerabilities by type and target, the criticality of the identified IP address. Nesys does a great job of detailing the technical details, and this information allows pen testers to accurately interpret that data when they are moving forward with their attacks. And Nikto is an easy-to-use open-source vulnerability scanning tool, primarily focused on web application security. Nikto can alert users of server configuration issues and perform a variety of web server scans. OpenVAS is a powerful vulnerability scanning tool that scans large-scale targets within web applications and servers. Nmap is a valuable, free, open-source network scanning tool that discovers hosts and an identified network. And Nesys obviously is a vulnerability tool that prevents networks from malicious attempts by hackers and can scan vulnerabilities. I recommend the best technique to trace a vulnerability to its root cause is to conduct an RCA, root cause analysis. This process will begin with identifying the situation or problem, clearly distinguishing the causes of the issue, and then deciding on the solution and implementing an effective solution to the root cause. So clearly distinguishing a root cause from a symptom of a vulnerability will ensure that the vulnerability is appropriately patched and controlled. Now, regardless of having passwords or implementing an environment of password-less software, a great attack vector for threat actors is stolen credentials. Most of the time, it is stolen passwords that lead hackers to gain access to protected systems. Regardless of having passwords or implementing an environment, you should always, make sure to be ready to change that your passcode. Phishing is also an easy way for an attacker to target a user to reveal sensitive information, typically via email or user browsing the web. And misconfiguration is a nuisance. Essentially, it incorrectly configures software safeguards, usually with web applications, and it is number 5 on OWASP's top 10 list. Now, according to HANA, vulnerabilities must be reported to the CRT Coordination Center 45 days after being first reported by vendors, researchers, and other organizations. Well, thank you for your time. It's my list of references, and I hope you enjoyed.